Okay, level with me here. There's this idea that we live on a ball and it's spinning and traveling through space at unfathomable speeds, yet you can't measure it, you can't repeat it or observe it. At this point, it becomes a religion. What are you holding on to? Do you care what other people think? Are you just worried what your friends and family are going to say? Is it your satellites? Is it your aliens? There are no satellites in the vacuum of space. Satellites are satelloons. You're aliens. Let's say you're an outer space alien fanatic. What if I told you you can have your aliens too? That they come from outer space, not upper space, but outer space. They are extraterrestrials. Terrestrial meaning terrain, meaning land. So what is it? What's stopping you? You've never seen curvature with your own eyes. You've never felt the earth spinning. You've never been able to observe and measure these claims. So at this point, it becomes a religion. Do you want to become free? What if there's thousands upon thousands of other continents? What if there is an actual creator? This place was designed for a purpose. This isn't an accident. Would your life change? We're all supposed to live in abundance. We're all supposed to be here for a purpose and learn and love and live. Being on a ball from an accident of a Big Bang, evolved from monkeys, that's no way to live. That's no way to perceive life. You're an accident. You have no purpose. What's stopping you? Look out here. There's no curvature. 120,000 feet, 30,000 feet, it's nowhere to be seen. Where's the curve? It's time to pay attention. It's time to wake up. It's time to become free.
Eight, 7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
On January 28, 1986, CNN watched the Challenger launch live on the air with its viewers. They and the other media outlets told you that the astronauts died in the explosion. But as always, there is an agenda behind every mainstream headline.
This morning, it looked as though they were not going to be able to get off.
1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Looks like a couple of the solid rocket boosters blew away from the side of the shuttle in an explosion.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction. We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded.
Today is a day for mourning and remembering. Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss.
The 7 NASA astronauts supposedly killed in the 1986 Challenger disaster did not die in the explosion and are quietly living out their lives in the US, with many of them hiding in plain sight, using their same names and working at high levels in the same fields they worked in before the disaster, according to explosive evidence uncovered by investigators.
We've located 6 out of 7 of them. In the world of deception, it's really easy to say this person is that person, and there's a lot of that going on, muddying the waters. But 6 out of 7 have identical names. They work for universities, most of them.
There were no people in the Challenger. That was a hoax. That's been proven conclusively by researchers and reporters, investigators, who have found that those supposed people that were in the Challenger are still alive today.
We remember Dick Scobie, the commander who spoke the last words we heard from the Space Shuttle Challenger. We remember Michael Smith. We remember Judith Resnick. We remember Krista McAuliffe. We remember Ellison Onizuka. We remember Ronald McNair.
People still think the Challenger exploded with these astronauts. It was a horrible thing. Never happened. Yes, the rocket exploded. There was no one on board.
So imagine you're at the launch of the Challenger. This is a historic moment, and it blows up in midair. Whether you are personally related to somebody on there or don't know anybody, you're going to be a mess. This is an emotional, incredible scene. And CNN was reporting, and they told the cameraman, let's get a live shot of Krista's parents. And when they zoomed in on them, they were giggling. They were laughing. They were smiling. I don't know how you can put a smile on someone's face, even if you told them the funniest joke in the world at that very moment. Just look at their face. Is that the face of somebody whose daughter just blew up in the most horrific, violent accident ever? Or is that somebody playing a role, not knowing that they're on camera and thinking about the money that they may have gotten? You can hide somebody that's allegedly dead right in plain sight. All you have to do is move them a little farther away, give them a different job, claim that they're somebody else. You don't even need to change their name.
So statistically speaking, the odds that almost everyone on the Challenger have exact lookalikes with exact names still existing is kind of laughable, honestly. Exact doppelgangers existing in the world with the same names, and when confronted, they get very nervous and their stories begin to conflict and they have the same mannerisms. You know, it doesn't take a lot to put it together, honestly.
Let's start with former NASA astronaut Michael J. Smith, with the same name as this retired professor from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Are you Michael Smith?
Yeah.
Professor at university?
Retired.
Retired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just stopped by because there's a room. Are you aware of that? There's a rumor on the internet.
It's not me.
That people are saying.
Yeah, it's not me, obviously. I mean, anybody that looks at my background, looks where I was born, it's not me. I mean, it's interesting that the Michael J. Smith that was the astronaut looks something like me when we were younger, but really not if you really look at facial recognition.
You never been a pilot, never been in the military?
Nothing like that.
Huh.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I don't respond to the emails I get. I get probably an email, maybe 2 a month.
Really?
And I got one guy that's been really hounding me, and I turned it over to the FBI.
Okay. Yeah, you just sure look a lot. Is the same name.
I know the facial thing, but that's what we looked like. What? 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Michael J. Smith, identical looks, dimples the same, teeth the same. There's really no denying it. And before he could finish the question, Michael denied it. Oh, that's not me, you know, and laughed it off. What's he going to say? Oh, you got me? Not going to happen.
The driveway footage of Michael J. Smith, that's real. I mean, that can't be a deep fake, you know. So at some point, you got to stop trusting liars.
We don't hide our space program. We don't keep secrets and cover things up. We do it all up front and in public.
Next is former NASA astronaut Judith Resnick with an exact doppelganger working at Yale University. 37 years have passed and she hasn't even changed her name. Side by side, there's no denying it. When she's approached, she has a very odd way of not responding.
Hey, Judy. How you doing? I'm from the press. I just had a quick question, if you don't mind.
What press?
I'm from a radio station in San Bernardino. I know there's a conspiracy about the space shuttle. No, I want to be polite. Friendly. Just a question. So there's a lot of rumors about you being on that space shuttle. Obviously, you know, if you want to comment, we would really appreciate it.
Kind of odd that Judith is in full panic mode when realizing the press is in her presence. She's no stranger to being in the spotlight. She even made her way into Hollywood for a quick cameo.
If the choice is to allow Americans to be taken as hostages or to be executed, I'll bring my own fucking rope. Saddam backed down, and Ambassador Wilson helped thousands get safely home. When he himself came home to the United States, he was warmly greeted by our president, who took him to the Oval Office and introduced him to the War Cabinet as an American hero.
Commander Dick Scobie had a company called Cows and Trees, and when you went to his website, there was an animation of a cow taking off like a rocket with a smoke stream coming out of its backside, doing a twisty curl in the air that looked remarkably just like what we saw with the Challenger. And after we started making videos on that and it started going viral, that website disappeared, never to be seen again.
And nobody could have predicted back in 1986 that in 30 some odd years from then, that there would be something called the internet that would bring all this information to the tip of your fingers, and you'd be able to search through pictures, Facebooks, websites, profiles. Now these people are scared. They're hiding their profiles. They're deleting their websites. They're making their Facebooks private.
Onizuka and McNair are always together. They're hanging out at NASA and always talking about themselves.
Ellison Onizuka, if you look at clips of him back in 1986 when this happened, he actually spoke like, every other word was,
Let me say that it's really a pleasure to be back.
If you look at clips of his brother, Claude, now speaking, it's the same exact thing. Every other word is,
But Ellison's dream is continued to be carried on.
I think we got some...
we're very fortunate that
I think we're ready to go fly. Thanks for being out here today.
His brother just so happens to be the spokesperson for the Challenger tragedy. Why aren't there any pictures of his brother back when this happened? Why didn't his brother speak at the funeral? Use your head.
Former Governor Ariyoshi, who has a story about a picture that survived the Challenger disaster.
Ellison Onizuka came to see me one day, and he wanted a family photo. And he wanted to pick it up on a Challenger, and he's going to bring it back, inscribe it, and autograph it. But that Challenger accident happened, and I felt very sorry to lose Ellison. But I didn't even think about the photo. I thought everything else must have been destroyed completely. About 2 months later, Lorna Onizuka called me and told me that they found in the water, NASA found the personal preference kit of Ellison Onizuka. And she said there were 2 things in there. One was a monk's prayer, and the other was his family portrait. So I told her, oh, then it must be in terrible condition because the astronauts, the big bang up and the ocean in the water for 2 months. She told me, no, it's in perfect condition. And she said, I'm going to bring the picture over to you and present it to you. And then in the meantime, NASA got the picture and they put this together for us.
Ronald McNair conveniently has a twin brother named Carl McNair who looks exactly like him and is at a lot of the events now, but was nowhere to be found when the explosion happened.
Krista McAuliffe was a fairly new teacher, just 3 years at that school. To get her story planted, all of these people, the parents, the astronauts, everyone involved that you saw, are crisis actors.
Essie was at the Cape in the stands to see Tuesday's launch, a sight that she says still haunts her.
Why didn't I leave too? But I thought, no, I want to stay and see it.
And as she read Mike's invitation for the launch, Miss Hesse said that she doesn't know if she'll be emotionally ready for a service like that in his hometown.
Since I won't be able to see you all in person, let me say thanks for coming and have a great time. And I hope you see a good show.
George Bush Sr. hand-selected the teacher, Krista McAuliffe. What are the odds that 30 years later, there is a professor at Syracuse University with the name Sharon McAuliffe?
I still can't believe that I'm going to actually be going into that shuttle. It just really doesn't seem possible.
Krista McAuliffe was asked if she had any fears about her space shuttle flight.
People really feel that space travel is safe now. It's not that earlier feeling that, oh, it's going to blow up or something's going to happen. Right at this point, I feel that I'll be okay if I go up.
Well, where's Jarvis? How come you haven't located him? And the answer is, he could have died of natural causes, a heart attack, a car accident, 3, 4, 5 years later, and it would never be reported.
The reason they did it was a psychological operation to justify not doing manned space flights anymore and to pull on your heartstrings with an emotional cover. So if you dare question it, then you're immoral. And then when you look into it, you find out, of course, that you have all these people still existing in the world. So basically a government version of witness protection for NASA.
Our nation held a vigil by our television sets. In one cruel moment, our exhilaration turned to horror. We waited and watched.
They were waiting and watching.
When they saw the explosion, there was confusion. Was something wrong? The principal and teachers weren't certain either. Then it got very quiet as the horror of it began to register.
Besides the trauma-based mind control and putting children through that trauma, it reinforces their model. It reinforces their religion. Look, this terrible thing happened. We're trying to go to space. We're trying to explore for science. But look, all those people died.
But at 1 o'clock, school was closed. It had to close.
I felt as if my whole body blew up inside when I saw that. And I can just never be as shocked as I am now.
Seeing it with my own eyes, it really just scared me.
Some astronauts blow up in a rocket. What does that do subconsciously to the average person? They don't want to go up into space. They don't want to blow up in a rocket. We'll leave that to the professionals. We'll leave that to NASA or government.
But once they had seen the evidence on the visual screen that there would be no survivors, it suddenly became apparent to them that they were dealing with death.
The government had incentivized the different public schools to play the Challenger in their classrooms. So they rolled their TV sets out. They had all the children sit down and get ready to watch it. And 20% of the American public watched the Challenger event happen live. And within 1 hour, 80% of Americans had seen the Challenger tragedy happen. So just like with 9/11, they have everyone see this traumatic event, and then we're all in unison that we're traumatized.
When it blew up, it was a form of trauma-based mind control that some people will never grow out of, and then the emotions kick in, and you're unable to think logically about what's going on.
Of course, this was planned. They made every school show this event live. They wanted these kids to grow up defending this tragedy.
Think about how many field trips come here, unfortunately. And they go in and watch that Heroes and Legends thing, and they come out thinking that this is the greatest possible hero that they could ever be. And that's just, they're actors. And we're building them up higher than your father, police, military, all these people that are actual heroes. These are actors working for a government agency. So,
next.
Hello. I'm going to get one of these signed if that's all right.
Please.
My name is Justin.
Justin?
Yes.
I-N?
Yes, with an I-N.
Where are you from, Justin?
Orlando.
Oh, you're not far from home.
Not too far. No, I'm okay on a picture, but thank you. I do have a question, though. Sure. Sometimes when we're watching the ISS footage, you'll see the astronauts sometimes connected to like wires and harnesses. Is that to keep them like in the frame during the broadcast, or what's the reason for that?
I haven't actually. You mean while they're inside the shuttle?
Yeah, like when they're inside the ISS, sometimes during the feeds, the broadcast, you'll see kind of pulling on their belts or something like that.
I bet that is. I have not personally seen that.
Oh, really?
But I know that they try to be still when they're talking to someone. And then they usually try to release and do like a flip at the end or something like that.
Because I've seen the flip before, and it almost looked like a foot was caught like inside something, but there was nothing really there. It was really strange. I didn't know if there was something to kind of like hold them in place or something.
We never had anything like that, but they may have learned over time that it was hard to stay still, and they may have come up with something.
Did you ever think the public would find out that all the spacewalks were filmed underwater? Did you have any comment on that?
Well, we train underwater.
Oh, okay. But only training?
Only training.
Okay.
Most of the public have no idea that the ISS is located in an underwater neutral buoyancy lab in Houston, Texas. The space station footage that they trick us with is not traveling at 17,500 miles per hour above your head. It's all being filmed here on Earth. An exact ISS replica underwater. Coincidence? It's a pretty simple process. Film your footage underwater, remove the water layer, add in your CGI Earth layer, and cast your spell.
One, two, three, bubbles in space.
The International Space Station, that's a complete fraud. It's a complete hoax. I don't believe that all these astronauts are living up there and doing all this. Every single time that they do some type of live demonstration, you can see some type of faulty wiring, some type of glitch. They're literally being held up by strings.
Green screens, wires, CGI, augmented reality, all sorts of issues. Think about this. They always have the women with long flowing hair. That would never be allowed.
They literally spray hairspray in their hair to make it look like their hair is floating in zero gravity.
The International Space Station, brought to you by the same guys who faked 6 moon missions. Yeah, I believe that. I don't know exactly how they're videotaping themselves. They could be on one of those zero-G planes and, doing it all in there. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but I don't believe it at all. It looks like a bunch of green screen fuckery. I don't believe that at all.
The space station is a serious place. We're doing serious research, scientific research, and engineering research.
On solid fuel wires, turn the key and light fire.
Running around in gorilla suits, going 17,500 miles an hour. There's supposedly micrometeorites, other satellites up there. They could die at any second, but they're running around playing with water. They're always playing with water, claiming to grow lettuce.
And I love this video because it looks like animation, like something that somebody made, but it's actually real footage from the space shuttle, just sped up just a little bit.
And this is a little video. It's about 4 minutes long here. So there's the space station. I love that this is not animation. This is film taken by a shuttle of the space station. And so this is real. It's not animation. Now, this looks like animation, and I'm very proud to know that it's actually real film. It's not a video game. People are living there.
I know this looks like animation, but it's actually really real.
I love this video because it looks like animation. It doesn't look real, but it is real.
People can watch all these fuck-ups and trickery by NASA and all these other space agencies, and all that goes out the window because they see a little light in the sky, and it's the ISS. Oh, yeah, that's the ISS. That's all the proof they need, and everything else goes out the window.
The view will still be A-OK out there, and all you need to look for is a bright light in the sky that will be moving, and that'll be the space station.
I've seen a light go from horizon to horizon. There's many problems with that light. First, it's as bright as the sun. It's really bright. How is the ISS reflecting that light as bright as the sun back to me the whole way across? Is it made of mirrors? Is that mirror following me? Right? How would somebody 10 miles away see the same reflection because it can't reflect in all directions? It's going 17,500 miles an hour. For 12 minutes I could see it. So what is it? I was in communication with a NASA whistleblower, and he says that they have 5 B-2 bombers that they've remodified with some parts of them are transparent material with a thin metal struts that you really can't see. The bottom was overlaid with LEDs to match the color of the sun, and they use them in their base. 2 of them are in Alaska, and I forget where the other ones are, and they take turns doing these flybys.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in York County. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space, because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. It is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County.